The night I accidentally sat beside the Alpha King was the night the moon stopped pretending I was ordinary. I didn't belong at the mating ceremony, everyone knew that. Half-wolves like me were meant to stand in the shadows, heads bowed, praying not to be noticed by fate or by kings. I chose a seat without looking, my heart racing, my senses overwhelmed by power that made my wolf whimper inside me. Then the air changed, the silence was so sudden it hurt. I felt him before I saw him, the weight of dominance, ancient and crushing, settling beside me like a living storm. When I dared to turn my head, silver eyes met mine, and in that instant, something inside my chest shattered open. The Alpha King froze, not in anger, in recognition. His breath hitched as he leaned closer, inhaling like he'd just found something he'd been searching for his entire life. The moon pillars ignited, ancient magic roared awake. Hundreds of wolves dropped to their knees as his voice cut through the hall, low and shaken. "This scent," he whispered, "impossible." My skin burned, my blood sang, my hidden wolf screamed to be free. Because I wasn't just a half-wolf, I was the secret the world tried to bury, and the Alpha King had just found me. Part 1. The night the moon changed my fate, the night of the mating ceremony arrived wrapped in silver moonlight and unspoken tension. Every 5 years, all the packs of the Northern Territory gathered under the ancient moon pillars, where destiny chose mates and lives were rewritten. For most wolves, this night was sacred. For me, it was terrifying. I was not supposed to be there. My name was Alara, a half-wolf, half-human girl raised on the edge of the packlands, tolerated but never truly accepted. My wolf was weak, or so everyone believed. I could shift, but slowly. I could hear the pack mind, but faintly. In a world ruled by power and dominance, I was invisible. That was exactly how I wanted it. I pulled my cloak tighter as I entered the vast ceremonial hall carved into the mountain itself. Torches burned with blue flame, illuminating hundreds of wolves dressed in ceremonial black and silver. The air vibrated with alpha energy, thick enough to make my skin prickle, and then I felt him. The Alpha King arrived without announcement. He didn't need one. The entire hall fell silent as Alpha Kale Nightborn stepped forward, tall, broad-shouldered, his presence crushing and magnetic. His jet black hair brushed his collar, his silver eyes glowing faintly like moonlit steel. This was the king all packs bowed to. The unmated Alpha who had rejected every chosen mate for years. I lowered my gaze instantly. Do not be seen, do not be noticed. I scanned the seating, heart pounding, and found an empty place near the front. Reluctantly, I sat, only realizing my mistake when the crowd shifted. The seat beside me was occupied by him. My breath caught painfully as Alpha Kale settled next to me, his arm brushing mine. The contact sent a shock through my entire body. My wolf stirred, restless and confused. I froze. Half-wolves were not meant to sit near kings. Slowly, Kale turned his head. His gaze landed on me for half a second, then his entire body went still. The air changed, his eyes narrowed, not with anger, but with sharp recognition. He inhaled deeply once, then again, as if tasting the air around me. "What are you?" he murmured, so low only I could hear. Panic surged. I tried to stand, to apologize, to flee, but his hand shot out, gripping my wrist with iron restraint. Not painful, commanding. The moon pillars flared white. A sudden pulse of ancient magic rippled through the hall. Gasps erupted around us. Kale's voice dropped into a growl that echoed in my bones. This scent. His eyes burned silver. "You're not a half-wolf." My heart thundered as the truth I never knew began to awaken. "You're a lost bloodline," and in that moment, under the watching moon, the Alpha King realized exactly who I was, and why fate had placed me at his side. When the moon spoke, my name's silence shattered. The white light blazing from the moon pillars surged higher, spiraling toward the domed ceiling like living fire. Ancient runes carved into the stone ignited one by one, glowing with a power that had not awakened in centuries. Every wolf in the hall dropped to one knee. Every wolf except me. I tried to stand again, legs trembling, but Alpha Kale's grip tightened just enough to steady me. His touch no longer felt threatening. It felt grounding, as if my scattered soul was anchoring itself to him. "Bo," someone whispered urgently from behind me, but I couldn't. The moonlight wrapped around my body, warm and heavy, pressing against my chest. My breath came in shallow gasps as something deep inside me responded, something that had been asleep my entire life. The Elder Council rose in unison. "That cannot be." Elder Riemann breathed, his ancient eyes wide with disbelief. "The silver vein was extinguished generations ago." Kale slowly stood, pulling me with him. Gasps echoed. Again, the Alpha King never rose for ritual unless the moon commanded it. His voice carried through the hall, low and absolute. "The moon has spoken. This female carries the scent of the first howl." A murmur turned into chaos. "That's impossible. She's half human. A mistake. A trick." I finally found my voice, thin and shaking. "You're wrong. I'm nothing. I was born weak. I can barely shift." Kale turned fully toward me then, his silver gaze piercing through every lie I had ever been told. "They bound you," he said quietly. "Your power. Your wolf. Your blood." My chest burned. Images flooded my mind. Memories that weren't mine. A silver wolf running beneath twin moons. A female standing beside a king, not of dominance, but of balance. A bloodline created to unite, not rule. The moon pillars flared again. This time the light struck my back. Pain ripped through me as I cried out, collapsing against Kale's chest. He caught me instantly, arms wrapping around me with possessive certainty. The hall vanished as power surged through my veins, hot and wild. My wolf howled inside me, not weak, ancient. The floor cracked beneath our feet. "Enough," Elder Maley shouted. "Alpha King, step away. If she is truly silver vein, she belongs to the council until her nature is verified." Kale's arms tightened. A growl rolled from his chest. "Deep, dangerous, royal. She belongs nowhere," he said coldly, "unless she chooses it." The word *belongs* sent a shiver through me. I looked up at him, confused and overwhelmed. "Why do you care?" For a moment, the Alpha King's mask cracked. His thumb brushed my wrist, right over the spot where the bond mark should have been. "Because the moon reacted to you the same way it reacted to my mate," he said. My heart stopped. "You have a mate." His eyes locked onto mine, burning brighter than the pillars. "No," he said softly, "I have never found her." The moon pillars erupted in blinding silver. A symbol burned into my skin, delicate, crescent-shaped, glowing like liquid moonlight. The mark of *** recognition, ***. The hall exploded into uproar. An Alpha Kale leaned down, his lips brushing my ear as he whispered words that changed everything. "Run," he murmured, "because once they realize what you are to me, they will never let you go." The chase written by fate, I ran, not because I wanted to, but because the Alpha King had told me to. The moment Kale released me, the hall erupted into chaos. Elders shouted orders, warriors shifted mid-stride, and the air cracked with competing alpha commands. I shoved through bodies, heart slamming, the silver mark on my skin burning like a living brand. Moonlight guided my steps. I didn't know how, but my feet moved with certainty through corridors I had never seen. Stone doors opened at my approach. Ancient runes dimmed as I passed, as if recognizing my blood. Behind me, a roar shook the mountain. Alpha Kale, not chasing, commanding. Every wolf froze under the weight of his authority, but I kept running. Tears blurred my vision as fear tangled with something far more dangerous, longing. Each step away from him felt wrong, like tearing skin from bone. Outside, forest swallowed me whole. Cold air burned my lungs as I stumbled through towering pines, branches clawing at my cloak. My wolf surged closer to the surface, begging to be released. But I didn't know how to control her now that she was awake. The mark flared. Pain exploded through my spine. I fell to my knees, screaming as silver light poured from my veins. Bones shifted. Muscles burned. For the first time in my life, the transformation didn't fight me. It welcomed me. When the pain faded, I stood on 4 powerful legs. My reflection stared back at me from a moonlit stream. A wolf of shimmering silver fur, eyes glowing pale gold, not small, not weak, magnificent. A howl rose from my throat. Raw, untrained, ancient, it was answered instantly. The forest trembled as another presence approached, heavy and overwhelming. I didn't need to see him to know. Alpha Kale. He emerged between the trees in his wolf form, massive, midnight. Black eyes like molten silver. Power radiated from him in waves that made lesser wolves bow instinctively. I backed away, torn between instinct and fear. He lowered his head, not in submission but in respect. You shifted. His voice echoed in mine through the pack bond, smooth and controlled. I didn't choose this. I snapped back, shocked by the strength of my own mental voice. You turned my life into chaos. He stepped closer, careful. Deliberate? No. The moon did. The bond tugged sharply between us, a silver thread pulling tight. Images flooded my senses, his loneliness, years of resisting false bonds, the emptiness of ruling without a true mate. I won't cage you, he said, but you cannot face what you are alone. I shook my head, retreating again. They'll hunt me, yes, he answered honestly, and they'll use you to control me. Sudden howl cut through the night, then another. Search parties, Kale's gaze hardened, they're coming. I hesitated only a second before making my choice, then don't follow, I said, turning away. Pain lanced through the bond, sharp, immediate. His growl broke into something primal. You don't get to command a king. I met his gaze, silver eyes blazing, and you don't get to claim me. Forest erupted as wolves burst through the trees. Kale moved like lightning. He placed himself between me and the attackers, fur bristling, power unleashed. The ground shook beneath his dominance as he roared a single word into the night. Mine. The word slammed into my soul, not as ownership, as recognition. And in that moment, I realized something terrifying. No matter how far I ran, fate was already running with me. Chains of silver and fire, they took me at dawn. Not with claws or violence, but with ancient law silver. Bane chains formed from moon. Forged magic wrapped around my wrists and ankles, humming softly as they suppressed my wolf. I was too exhausted from shifting, from running, from resisting the bond pulling me relentlessly toward Alpha Kale. He stood restrained across the clearing, not bound, contained. 5 elder alphas surrounded him, their combined dominance forming a prison of pressure thick enough to crush mountains. Still, Kale stood tall, eyes locked on me, fury burning beneath his control. Touch her again, he said calmly, and I will end the council. The threat was not shouted. It was promised. Elder Maylie stepped forward, her voice sharp with authority. Alpha King, you are compromised. The silver vein female is not your mate. She is a keystone. Her blood can awaken or destroy the packs. I was dragged away before he could answer. The council chamber was colder than stone should be. Moonlight filtered through the ceiling, forming a circle around me as the chains pulled me to my knees. Runes activated beneath my skin, making my mark burn painfully. You will submit, Elder Riemann said. Your blood will be tested. I'm not a weapon, I whispered, shaking. No. Elder Maylie's replied. Your lock pain surged as magic probed my bond, and then Kale's roar tore through the mountain. The runes shattered. Every elder staggered back as dominance exploded into the chamber. Walls cracked. The chains around my wrists melted like liquid silver. Alpha Kale stood in the doorway, alone. You do not touch what the moon has claimed. He growled. Power rolled off him like a storm as he crossed the chamber and pulled me into his arms. My body reacted instantly. Heat flaring, wolf purring, the bond tightening with a pulse of undeniable need. For a split second, we forgot everything else. His breath brushed my hair. I warned you. Elder Maylie's raised her staff. Then you choose exile. Kale didn't hesitate. I choose her. Gasps echoed as ancient law ignited. Alpha King's crest burned onto his skin, reshaping itself. No longer ruler of all packs, but a rogue king bound by mate law alone. The mountain trembled. I looked up at him, terrified. You gave up everything. His thumb brushed my glowing mark. I found everything. The bond surged violently, heat, hunger, emotion crashing into me all at once. I swayed, overwhelmed by sensations I didn't understand. Kale stiffened. His voice dropped, rough and urgent. They awakened the bond too fast. What does that mean? I gasped. His eyes darkened, desire breaking through control. It means, he said, pulling me closer as the mountain began to collapse around us. If we don't leave now, neither of us will survive. What comes next? He shifted mid-stride, wrapping me in his power as we leapt into the breaking dawn. And somewhere deep inside me, the silver wolf howled for her king. Exile under a burning bond. We crossed the borderlands before nightfall. Beyond the pack territories, the world felt different, wilder, untamed, heavy with old magic. Kale carried me for miles after shifting back into human form, his strength unyielding, his silence strained. The bond between us burned, not gently, not patiently. It pulsed like a living thing, tugging, tightening, demanding completion. I finally pushed against his chest, put me down. He did, but the moment my feet touched the earth, my knees nearly buckled. Cale caught me instantly, hands gripping my arms as if letting go was no longer possible. "This isn't normal," I whispered, breathless. "It hurts." His jaw clenched. "The council forced the bond open before you were ready." They turned recognition into ignition. I felt it then, his emotions bleeding into mine, his restraint, his hunger, his fear of hurting me. "You're holding back," I said softly. "Yes," he answered immediately, "because if I don't, I won't stop." Heat flared low in my stomach at his words, shocking in its intensity. My wolf pressed forward, yearning, answering his in ways my human heart wasn't prepared for. We reached an abandoned sanctuary hidden beneath a cliff. Stone walls wrapped in vines, glowing faintly with ancient runes meant for balanced mates. The moment we stepped inside, Bond reacted violently. The door sealed, magic surged. I gasped as silver light wrapped around us both, forcing proximity. Cale swore under his breath as his control finally fractured. "Ilera," he warned, voice rough. "The sanctuary will push the bond to stabilize it." My back hit the stone wall. His body braced over mine without touching, every muscle trembling with restraint. "Tell me to stop," he said, "and I will." My heart pounded. All my life I had been told I was weak, lesser, broken, but here, under his gaze, under the moon's truth, I felt powerful. "I don't want you to stop," I whispered. That was all it took. The bond snapped into alignment, heat and light crashing through me as Cale finally kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It was reverent and desperate, as if he was worshipping something he had waited lifetimes to touch. My mark burned, answering his, but the moment felt wrong, too sharp, too fast. I cried out as pain spiked through my chest. Cale pulled back instantly, horror flooding his face. "No, this isn't right." The sanctuary shook. A voice echoed from the runes, ancient and unforgiving. "Silver vein awakens through choice, not hunger." The light threw Cale back. I collapsed, gasping as visions tore through me. Bloodlines merging, a throne of moonstone, packs bowing not in fear but unity. And beneath it all, a shadow, something older than the council, something that wanted my blood. Cale rushed to my side, lifting me gently. "You're more than my mate," he whispered, fear finally breaking through his strength. "You're the balance this world tried to erase." Outside, distant howls rose, too many, too organized. "Hunters, not wolves." My eyes snapped open as power surged painfully through my veins. "They're coming for me," I said. Cale bared his teeth, eyes glowing. "Then they'll have to come through a king who has nothing left to lose." And somewhere deep in the sanctuary, something ancient answered my call, awakening at last.